Three black speedboats sliced through the darkness beneath my inherited Cliffside mansion at 3 in the morning, engines almost swallowed by the crash of waves against rocks that had been there long before any of us, long before this whole mess began, and there I was, camera in hand, barely breathing, filming it all through night vision, when suddenly the front door exploded inward, and a wall of SWAT poured into my life, assault rifles up, red laser dots skipping across my chest like angry fireflies. Drop the camera. Get on the ground. The lead officer's voice boomed through the old Victorian rafters, dust shaking loose from 100 years ago, and even now I can still feel that cold panic as my hands trembled, camera clattering on the hardwood, recording still, boots circling, and then something impossible. The SWAT commander, rifle lowering, his face going pale behind the mask, voice cracking. "Thean, what the hell are you doing here?" And that was the moment everything spun sideways, because I knew that voice, even after a decade. My Uncle Rex, the government ghost who dropped out of every family photo, was standing in my bedroom leading a federal raid on what I thought was just my new home. You want to know how I ended up there? 3 days earlier, I'd arrived at this $8.7 million Victorian monster perched like a crown on a 200-foot cliff over the Pacific. I'd never met my great-uncle Cornelius. He left the place to me, out of nowhere, according to a stone-faced lawyer who called it an unexpected windfall for a divorced Navy engineer with PTSD and a mountain of bills. Me, I called it a miracle, a way out, a chance to start over after life cratered. The house itself was all turrets and gables, 14 bedrooms, 11 baths, and best of all, a system of natural caves under the property that connected to a private beach nobody could reach except through my yard. I thought, sure, wine cellar, storm shelter, maybe a project someday. I had no clue it was the linchpin of a criminal empire. Because the next morning, before the coffee even brewed, here comes Isadora Peton, rolling up my gravel drive in a purple Bentley like she's the mayor of some pastel kingdom, flanked by 3 board members who looked more like hired muscle than neighbors. Pink suit, pearls for armor, smile sharp as broken glass. She tells me, with a straight face, that I have 48 hours to hand over my property to the HOA or face aggressive legal action. I figured she was your typical HOA tyrant, high on rules and low on empathy. I didn't know she was the queenpin of a $47 million smuggling operation using the caves beneath my feet, or that Cornelius, who left me the house, had spent 20 years undercover, documenting every dirty deal for the feds. I sure didn't know my lost Uncle Rex had been waiting for someone to inherit this place to spring a trap so big it would crush an international crime ring. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. Over the next 72 hours, I'd learn all of it. The reason 6 families lost their homes in mysterious circumstances, why ghostly boats came and went by moonlight, why Isadora would end up with a 35-year reservation in federal prison. If you've ever doubted that HOA drama could go full Breaking Bad, buckle up. So, 3 days before that SWAT raid, I first saw the place through fog so thick the moving truck nearly missed the drive. The house materialized like some haunted Gothic relic, turrets stabbing the sky, shingles faded blood red, windows staring out to sea like eyes that never blinked. As soon as I got out of the rental, the silence hit. Thick, watchful, like a party stops when you walk in. Curtains twitched. Nobody waved. The air stank of salt and something sharp, chemical, wrong, drifting up from below. It stuck in my nose, set off alarms honed by years at sea. I was barely through the front door when Mrs. Wong, my 80-something neighbor, shuffled over in slippers and a housecoat, eyes darting from me to the mansion. "You're the nephew," she said, voice a whisper. "Cornelius talked about you. He said, when the black birds return to the caves, the truth will sing. Get cameras, lots. Don't drink anything from the Pink Lady. And don't go in the caves after midnight." Before I could ask, the Bentley arrived. Mrs. Wong bolted like she was 20 again, doors slamming, locks clacking. It was comical, except it wasn't. Isadora stepped out, all calculated power, flanked by 2 men built like pro wrestlers and a nervous woman clutching a tablet. "Mr. Blackwood," she purred. "I'm Isadora Peton, president of the Coastal Heights HOA. We need to discuss your situation." That situation was basically a threat. Hand over the property or watch your life disintegrate. She shoved a stack of documents at me, rattled off stories of ruined neighbors, named every family who'd ever tried to resist, and capped it with, "Life can become very difficult for people who don't understand the value of community cooperation." Her voice, her legalese, the practiced intimidation, it was a machine. But what really got me was when her nervous assistant accidentally dropped a note in shaky handwriting. "Check the basement walls." He knew everything. Someone inside the machine wanted me to know the truth. That night, I didn't sleep. I tore through the house like a man possessed. The basement door, steel, modern, disguised as antique. Industrial-grade concrete, fresh cinder block, stronger chemical smell. I found cameras, 7 of them, all pointed at a blank wall. And behind that wall, I could hear space. "Hello." My phone buzzed. "Don't open it yet. They're watching. Act normal for 2 days." A friend. I wanted to go full Navy engineer, rip it down. But I waited. I played dumb, unpacked boxes, called my lawyer. Next day, the HOA harassment machine fired up, inspector after inspector, writing up fines for grass, for fence posts, for mailbox squeaks, $900 in citations by noon. Each one checked the basement door, took a picture, moved on. They were looking for something, but they didn't have all the keys. That second night, I installed my own cameras, motion sensors. If they wanted to play surveillance, I'd play back. At 3:12 a.m., the motion alert went off. 3 black speedboats, no lights, moved into the cove beneath the house, engines vanishing into the cave. I filmed everything. The cargo, voices in English and Mandarin, the metallic echo of illegal shipments moving under my home. The caves weren't a curiosity. They were a secret port, and my house was the crown jewel. The third day, I woke to a horror show of dummy security cameras all over my lawn. Pure intimidation. Around noon, a harbor master named Jake Morrison came up the cliff, said Cornelius asked him to deliver a waterproof container, but only to the new owner after 3 days. Inside, a key, GPS coordinates, and a note. Behind the wine that never ages. The coordinates led to a basement wine rack. Twisting the last bottle revealed a hidden room packed with surveillance gear, documents, a safe that the key opened. Inside, Cornelius's full story. Years undercover, logs of every shipment, a USB labeled insurance, and a letter that spelled out the whole conspiracy. The HOA was a front. Isadora and her judge husband forced families out, took over coastal properties, used them for smuggling. 6 mysterious deaths were murders. 3 more just barely survived. The USB was loaded with proof, video, audio, financials, enough to bury the network forever. Cornelius knew the end was near. He'd been poisoned by Isadora herself, arsenic slow and untraceable. He set a final trap. When I called the FBI and gave his name, the task force would move, led by none other than my ghost Uncle Rex. So I set the table. I pretended to give in to Isadora, invited her for a midnight signing, and called the FBI tip line. Gave them the details, named Cornelius. That pause on the line, that was the moment the plan went into motion. "Stay exactly where you are," the voice said. "Tonight, 3 a.m., we know." Rex was coming, along with every acronym agency you can imagine. Midnight. Isadora arrived with muscle, her judge husband, and the look of someone who'd never lost a fight. She swept through my basement, her eyes lighting up at the open tunnel, and didn't even bother with the mask anymore, boasting about her smuggling, admitting to murder, waving away ruined lives like inconveniences. She pulled a gun, pressed it to my head, and demanded I sign everything away. I played the terrified victim, signed where the cameras could see, and then mentioned Rex's name. The panic button was in my hand. She paled. I pressed it. The basement erupted in flashbangs and boots. SWAT through the doors, windows, even rappelling down the side. Lasers, shouts, the full American action movie. Isadora tried to shoot. She caught a sniper round in the shoulder, her gun spinning away, Judge Peton zip-tied and cursing, muscle taken down hard. In the chaos, 3 boats entered the cave, crew unloading illegal cargo. Agents let them commit, then stormed in, trapping them between Coast Guard vessels and the cliffs. For minutes, 23 arrests, 3 boats full of drugs, weapons, and, heartbreakingly, 17 trafficking victims who'd spent 2 weeks locked in a shipping container. As dawn broke, my house became a parade of agencies, News choppers, neighbors peeking out. Isadora raged, vowing revenge as she was wheeled off. Rex calm and tired and proud. Trials made headlines. Isadora and her husband got a combined 75 years. The HOA was dissolved, their assets used to repay victims. 6 months later, families started coming back. The caves were sealed for good. The mansion no longer a crime scene but a home. And if you think the story ends there, it doesn't. Not really. Mrs. Wong became a local legend, running a real neighborhood watch. Rex retired and visited often. Finally, just an uncle, not a shadow. The Conservation Trust turned the cliffs and caves into a preserve named for Cornelius, a hero nobody knew existed until it was almost too late. I started teaching local kids about the ocean. Sarah moved in, and we built a life above waters that no longer hid secrets. So here's my question to you. Since you made it this far, have you ever wondered what your HOA is really up to? Not saying they're all running crime syndicates, but the lesson's clear. Darkness hides where nobody's looking, and sometimes it takes a broken-down engineer and a family of ghosts to drag it into the light. Drop your wildest HOA story in the comments. Argue about justice, about power, about what a community really is. Because as long as we keep talking, keep watching, the darkness doesn't win.